Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So, Michael is talking to Curtis and trying to get um, in contact with Jacinda. So they talk about it for a little bit. He doesn't know her name, but Curtis is able to sit there and fill in the blanks once he has a picture of her. And the reason for that is he's trying to get an alibi since he was with her the night of the shooting. He gets a call from Portia that Drew has woken up and is talking to the cops. So now Michael is, the pressure is on to sit there and try to lock down this alibi. But Curtis is able to sit there and provide the escort service that she works at. So Drew wakes up and the first thing he asks when he talks to Liz is, "Where is Willow?" And Liz rolls her eyes, and I'm just like, wait, hold on, let me get this straight. You just wake up after being shot, major surgery and everything, and the first thing you sit there and do is ask for Willow? Bro, did you forget that you had a daughter? I mean, I'm like, bro, that's so out of pocket at this point. Wow. But yeah, he asks for Willow and everything like that. He sees Portia walks in and he wants a different doctor. Portia's like, yeah, cool, whatever. I could sit there and refer you to somebody else, but for right now, you pretty much kind of stuck with me. So, Portia's not there checking his vitals and everything like that. And, like I said before, call Curtis. Dante goes down there to get a statement of everything that wound up happening. And everything that you saw during that episode, he pretty much just recounts. But everything else, he pretty much says that he doesn't remember. Not before he does sit there and say that most likely it was Michael and just throws his ass under the bus. And to be fair, when Michael's sitting there talking to Curtis, he does sit there and say that he's at the top of, he says that he's most likely at the top of the suspect list. Given their tension, given the actual fight that wound up happening, the destruction of his marriage, the kids, and everything like that, yeah, he knows that his ass is cooked legally. That's why it's so important for him to sit there and find Jacinda. Now, Jacinda is sitting in Portia's chair, putting her dirty ass stilettos on her desk. So when Portia walks in, I'm not gonna lie. If you slow it down a little bit, you can see that Portia just has this, I'm sorry, what look on her face before she kind of just calmly walks in. Now, Jacinda, as she said, is bad with money, which is, because Portia was like, you shouldn't be here. And, she says that she ran through Drew's money and she just needs a little bit more money to get it going since, she was the one that did sit there and help out the ladies, give Drew the time of his life with the whole ketamine stuff. And, she pretty much tries to blackmail Portia. The problem with blackmailing her, the problem with Jacinda is that she doesn't know how the blackmail works. See, it doesn't work too well if somebody has something on you that's just as damning, if not more damning, than what you have on them. And that's exactly what Portia says. Portia's like, hey, listen, if you out me, then you're outing yourself. And, you literally sat there and drugged a congressman. How do you think that's going to sit there and play out in the court of law? And she's like, oh. And I'm like, wait, you didn't think this through, did you? Wait, you just sit there and say that you blew through like 10K. So why am I not surprised that thinking isn't exactly your strong suit? But Portia gives us some word of advice like, hey, listen, anybody talk to you, whatever, you say nothing. you just sit there and actually you sit there and say that Drew is the one that voluntarily came in with his own ketamine and he took it to sit there and have a good time. And then he gets a call from the escort people. I mean, she gets a call from the escort people about another job, which is Michael. Michael brings her down there, and long story short, Michael is pretty much kind of asking Jacinda, like, I got this legal trouble going on about the shooting and everything like that. And Jacinda's like, you need an alibi. And just as they're sitting there talking, Dante comes in, and Dante's like, you're a hard man to find. So most likely, I feel like Jacinda is going to give him that alibi that they were talking at the Port Charles Grill. The problem with that is that he's still going to have to explain his whereabouts because Tracy did see him, or more accurately, saw his car. So that's still going to be a problem down the line. Curtis also comes and sees him, and at that point, Drew's like, I mean, not Drew. Yeah, Drew's like, most likely, he says something like, I have every reason to believe that you did it, but don't worry, I pretty much kind of threw Michael under the bus. Now, um, Alexis. I felt like I literally had to go through a Rolodex because I watched all five of the soap operas. Alexis comes down there eventually with Diane to answer some questions for Chase and Anna. And she pretty much already has her alibi. She has an alibi as far as like this mediation that she did between Ava and Christina and the tension and everything like that, just to try to sit there and find some sort of peace, common ground, or whatever. And then of course she does have Dante did sit there and see her, and Curtis also saw her as well as a phone call that she was sitting there making, talking to her assistant about some sort of case. And with that being said, for now, it seemed like it satisfied Anna as far as clearing her. I mean, eventually, they're going to sit there and find out about the whole, Rick tied up, sex toy in his mouth, all that stuff. Now, we see Charlotte with Lulu, and Lulu's sitting there lecturing her about her punishment and her being grounded and why it's important and da 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 da, right? And at some point, Jack comes in. And, Charlotte gives Jack like an attitude or whatever and goes outside and talks to Rocco. And, she's not there venting to Rocco about how Jack was responsible for Valentine being in prison. And Rocco was like, no offense, but I mean, Valentine did do a lot of crime. So, I mean, he pretty much put himself there. Now, one of the things that I will give Charlotte is that she made an excellent point as far as them both breaking laws. The difference is Jack hides behind a badge. Now, Jack wants Charlotte to go down to Stein or whatever that place is to visit Valentine. Because Valentine is going to do that, needs that favor to give him some sort of information. And Lou was like, yeah, that's going to be a hard pass. I'm not doing it. And yeah, I don't care what Charlotte wants. I'm not doing that. Then he gets a call, and he kind of drops the whole, all right, I'm not going to sit there and really push now. But just to let you know, because Valentine, a lot of people want to get to Valentine. He is a person of interest and, whatever. And so by extension, so is Charlotte. And so while he did sit there and say, yeah, we're going to protect her, we're going to keep an eye on her, just know there's going to be a point where you're going to ask me for a favor. Um, and of course, Charlotte is having a hard time readjusting out there, you know. Because here's the thing, she's used to being on the road, traveling and stuff like that, and more importantly, being a little bit more independent and feeling more like an equal. Which is, you know what, listen, I don't have kids, so I'm not gonna sit there and say how to raise kids, but that's what she's used to. She's not used to being grounded and, whatever. Now, back at this compound, Jason's still having trouble fighting this guy because, he's not the youngster badass that we've known before. And like I said, I knew Jocelyn was going to find a way to save Jason, which he did. And so after they talk for a little bit, Jason goes back to save Britt. Now, to Pascal, long story short, he didn't get the marching orders to sit there and execute Britt. He's just kind of tired of sitting there dealing with her. While Britt sits there and tries to make the argument of I'm valuable and he wouldn't want this. Um, Pascal's like, yo, listen, we can always sit there and find another scientist with less of a headache and less delays. He walks out, and Jason comes back, and Jason's able to sit there and get the bomb off of her ankle. Which I'm gonna be honest, this bomb did not sit there and seem as big for an explosion of that size once the whole thing is over. Anyway, he gets the bomb off of her. They start running out. Pascal is with his men, and they about to sit there and execute Britt and Jason. Of course, Vaughn and Jocelyn come in and help them out. And part of me was like, why would you sit there and stop just to execute them when you know how much time you have left? Which was like, what, 12 minutes or whatever? He knew exactly how much time he had to get out that compound. And yet he wants to sit there and decide to risk his life just to sit there and take out Jason. Pascal escaped, by the way, but still. Explosion happens, which, again, was way bigger than I thought it was going to be. And then, of course, at the end, after Jason finished shielding her, Bridget says that I hate your tattoos. I am glad that Brit is back. I am. And as I'm sitting there as I'm sitting there finished watching the show, I'm just like, listen, I hope that Carly doesn't sit there and interfere. Now, of course, some people may not know this, but the actress that played Brit, Kelly, chose to leave for love and all the other stuff, right? She chose to leave the show, so that's the direction that the characters took. But I mean, we all know that Carla's gonna be an obstacle because she is just self-centered that way. But I guess we shall see. Anyway, I feel like that's about it for the most part. If I forget anything, write in the comment section below. I will be doing a live stream tonight. I'm not sure exactly what time. I'm gonna sit there and say between 8:30 and 9. But I will sit there and post in the community tab. So just check it whenever around like 7, around like I'll sit there and say like maybe 7:45. I'll probably put out a post, and then I'll know exactly what time I'm going to be streaming. And yeah, anything I miss, we'll sit there and talk about in the stream, as well as the other 4 shows.